good evening, good evening. Yeah, hear ye, yeah. All right, Southbridge Business Partnership, welcome members. And welcome to the Dark Horse, provided by Gabriel and Johnny McCarthy. We're here for the newly renovated space, and it looks great. I think we're all excited to have another place in town to go to. And then tonight we're going to have Bill Metzger from the superintendent from Southbridge Schools is going to speak, and then afterwards we're going to have basically an open forum. Again, finding out if there's any local business activities that are going on that we all want to pass along to each other. And then also we've got the Southbridge Community TV here, so they'll broadcast it all for us. So I'm at this point, I want to bring Gabe up because I want to have him talk about his new space here and what he's doing here for us.
Welcome to the Dark Horse, and we've been open now a couple of months. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We have a regular pub menu, and with some unusual twist to it. We have a fairly good selection of beers and Irish whiskies and rums and gins, and also non-alcoholic drinks. And hopefully this summer we'll have ice cream on the patio and a bar out there with music on the patio. About 6 weeks from now, I'm hoping to have the cannery open. We're going to open initially with karaoke. I don't know much about karaoke, but I believe it's very popular. And I doubt very much if I'll be partaking of it. But then we'll work our way into regular bands like we had before. We had some wonderful bands here over the years, and hopefully we can get back to that. The one thing about Southbridge that I think we can do is if we can do something through the arts, we will raise the caliber of the town, and the town is doing very, very well. We have this trail here that's been in the planning for many, many years. It's now going. Hamilton Street is all being redone, and it's just terrific. So anyway, Bob, thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you, Bob. And first, thank you, Gabe, for being a great host. And as you can see outside, too bad it's raining, the rail trail is really taking shape right along here, and I think it's awesome. And with Gabe opening this up, I think it just gives us a whole new opportunity that people can walk from here down to the downtown, further down through Coops Scoops and all that. So it's great that you're open, and we welcome you back. And it is exciting that this whole area is really going to take shape over the next year and a half or so. But it is my pleasure to introduce Bill Metzger, who is now the current receiver, superintendent of schools. Bill came to the district a few years ago and has served as the HR and talent development coordinator. And over the last approximately 2 years that I've served as the town manager, Bill has really been one of those partners with us, with the school and the town. We have really been able to develop a partnership through our HR departments, our facilities, DPW departments, and that's how we're going to rebuild the school system, trust in the school and the town and the governance. And it's really an exciting opportunity. Bill has a lot of great ideas because of his background, where he came from the Munson Public Schools as a principal, and he can explain his background. But I am very grateful that we have transition. This is a transitional phase for Southbridge. Everybody understands that it is the transitional phase, and I'm hoping through Bill's leadership and the partnerships that we have developed that he will transition to be the superintendent going forward under the local governance, because I truly believe that's the stability that we need. And with that, I'll introduce Bill Metzger, Superintendent Receiver.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you all for inviting me to meet and speak with you tonight. I'm a history guy. I love this building, and I'd love to learn more about its story at a later time. I figure I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I've only been in the role of superintendent for, what's it, the 22nd, 22 days now. I'll tell you about some of my initial thoughts and where I see things heading. So I grew up in Springfield, Massachusetts, right down the street from the X. I grew up in the X neighborhood, went to Springfield Public Schools, went to UMass Amherst to get my undergraduate degree. I was a history major. I thought originally maybe I would go into the law. And actually I worked at the State House in the state legislature for a couple of years after college. And I learned a lot, including that I did not want to be a lawyer. So part of, I worked for an elected official. She was first a member of the House and then the Senate. And she had a community service requirement for all of her staff. And you could pick your project. And I picked junior achievement. And I ended up going into local elementary schools in the Springfield area, teaching kids about, civics and government. And I really enjoyed the work quite a bit. And I was dating a girl at the time, who's now my wife, who was a teacher, and she loved it. And I thought to myself, I'm going to take the teacher test once, and if I pass, I'm going to take that as a sign to move forward. And I took it and I passed, and I had been doing some grant writing for the Hampden-Wilbraham Public Schools, and I called the superintendent's office and asked, could I put you guys down as a reference? I think I'm going to pursue a career in education. And, the receptionist took my information, and about an hour later, the superintendent called and said, if you're really serious, come right now to central office and let's talk. And I left that meeting with my first job in teaching. I taught English and history at Minnechaug Regional High School for a bunch of years. It was a lot of fun. A few years in, a principal approached me. He says, I think you have a knack for some of our more challenging students. Did you ever think about becoming an administrator? And I said, I hadn't. And he got the hooks in me. I went back to school. I got a degree in educational leadership and became a dean of students at Minnechaug. Eventually moved on. I was assistant principal in the Southwick-Tolland Granville Regional School District for a little while, and then most recently I was principal in Munson High School for 8 years, and it was a very rewarding experience. I've got 4 kids of my own. They're all public school age. They're 4 very different kids, and I say that because I really have experienced being a parent in a lot of different situations. I've been to honor roll ceremonies, I've been to suspension hearings, and everything in between. And you don't want your dad to show up to a suspension hearing when he's the principal of another school. I can tell you that. I say that because I really feel like I understand the experience of the parent, and it's really informed like my approach to the work. And I think always one of my driving principles is, what do I want it to look like in my kid's school? What do I want it to look like in my kid's classroom? What do I want it to look like in my kid's learning environment? Because that is the standard I want to have for all kids, right? Because my standards for my own children are high. So I was in Munson, was a principal through COVID. It was challenging. And I started to think, I want to pursue other opportunities. And some professional colleagues told me about this position in Southbridge. And I started researching the district and the position. And I thought it was really interesting. The district was in receivership. They were in an aggressive turnaround plan. And the work that they were looking for somebody to do was really new and exciting to me. And I reached out to Jeff Villar, and we got talking on a few occasions, and he offered me a job on the leadership staff as the human resource director and talent management, recruiting teachers, professional development, etc. And it was a real challenge when I first got here. It was a very different environment than I had been accustomed to. Some of the schools had become pretty stable places. Others very much still had a lot of work to do in that regard. And, little by little, day by day, week by week, I have seen incremental improvement in all of the schools. And I can tell you they're in a much better place than they were a few years ago when I joined. As I got into the work, I think Jeffrey and the rest of the administrative team saw value in the work I was doing. My role continued to expand. I met Jack a couple of years ago. We were on other sides of a negotiating table, negotiating the food service employees contract, and him and I got along right from the get-go. And as my portfolio of work started to expand for the school district, I began interacting more with local government and the town hall, and that there had been a fracture there, quite frankly, and I felt strongly that we had to mend those fences, and I've endeavored to do that. When I took the job of superintendent receiver, the first person I called was Jack to say, I am interested in us working together, right? What's in the past is the past. I didn't create the situation that produced receivership. I'm not responsible for whatever hard feelings there were between my predecessor and members of the local government. And to bring the schools to the next level, we have to get on the same page and work together. And we've pledged to do that, and that is what we do. And, Jack and I can pick up the phone, and it's sometimes there are challenges that we have to talk through. But we're able to do so in a cooperative and collaborative way. And I think, the future is bright with continued collaboration and work together. When I was offered the position by the commissioner, we talked, and him and I agree that, this model of governance has to be closer to the end than the beginning, right? The school system needs to be turned back to the local governance. And, I've been doing a lot of work with the school committee and some representatives from the Department of Ed. We're working very hard to build their capacity and provide them training, working with Jack and the town council, and I think the future is very bright in terms of that collaboration and cooperation. I'm in an interesting spot. I was hired by a commissioner that then left 2 weeks later. I'm dealing with an interim commissioner now who's a lovely guy, but is only going to be on the job till July 1st, and I'm excited to meet the new permanent commissioner, Dr. Martinez, who's joining us from the Chicago Public Schools, and I hope to get him out here soon to talk about, what the roadmap to the future looks like for the public schools, and I think the future is very bright. There are great things going on in all the schools. We have worked very hard over the last few years to bring in very talented new teachers, to further support the teachers that have been in the system for a long time, and to create some internal capacity and begin promoting some people to positions of management from within. And, I endeavor to continue to do that. We have also seen improvement in our student performance. We're not anywhere near where we want or we need to be for the kids, but we are trending in the right direction. I am incredibly encouraged by, and I invite you all, give me a call, come to the office. I'll be happy to walk you around any one of the schools on any day. There are great things going on in the schools every day. And, there are pockets of, criticism and naysaying out there, and people are entitled to their opinions and their feelings, and I understand that, but I am telling you, the proof is in the pudding. Come to our schools and see the stuff that is going on. You'd be amazed by our kids, and our teachers. We've really worked over these last few years to put the systems and structures and supports in place for our children who come to us, quite frankly, with a high level of need, right? The amount of support we have for their social emotional needs to provide wraparound services in the community is unparalleled compared to any other place that I've ever worked. But I think now that we've laid the foundation, it is time to turn our focus and our attention to improving, academic outcomes. And, I'm happy to roll up my sleeves and get into that work more fully. The last few years in my role with the district, my job functions have been largely administrative. I have not been student-facing or working with the teachers on curriculum and instruction. And these last few weeks, as I've been in the role officially, I've spent the overwhelming amount of each day just walking around the different schools, going into the classrooms, seeing what's going on, meeting the kids, meeting the teachers, and listening. I've been on a listening tour to three of the 5 schools, meeting with representatives from the union in each of the buildings, just sitting down in a circle with them. Tell me the things you think are going well. Tell me the things you think aren't going well. What do you need me to understand about how you view our situation and how we can improve it? I'm doing a similar exercise with the district administrative leadership team, and that's going to inform our professional development over the summer. I hope also, and I plan to get out and do a listening tour in the community and hear from the residents about, the things they think are going well and the things they think aren't going well in the school district. Something that you can expect from me that I think is different from my predecessor, who I hold in high regard, is I do believe I need to be out and visible in the community and talking to people and hearing from citizens about the things that are concerning to them. I was thrilled when Dave Adams called me up a couple weeks ago and invited me to participate in the Memorial Day recognition ceremonies that are going on in town on Monday, and you can expect to see me there. You can expect to see me around a lot. I believe in open and honest, direct communication. I don't play games. I don't hide behind policies or spokespeople. I believe that our district has to have accountability at all levels, including with me. If you guys have questions or concerns or hearing things that are troubling to you or that don't make sense as members of the business community, I encourage you to call my office, right? I think we all know just because it's on social media doesn't mean that it's true. I will answer any questions anybody has. My life in this school system is an open book, and I invite you all to read it as you see fit. I really think we are primed to make real gains in the Southbridge Public Schools. And, my hope is to be here for the long haul. Like Jack said, I understand that we are in a transitional phase. I know the $64,000 question is, when is the date? When are we returning to local governance? I don't have that answer, and I don't expect my brand new boss is going to have that answer in the first month on the job. But, we want to get him out here soon, talk about what the plan is, and continue to build local capacity. The folks that are the elected members of the school committee currently, I can tell you, have taken their charge very seriously this last year in attending various trainings, communicating with me. We sit together, we plan the agendas. I've resolved to go to all of their meetings and help them in any way that I can, because, this is your community. I'm just a steward of the children and of your tax dollars. And I know the key to the next level of success is a return to the local governance structure. So I'm happy to do the work. I'm thrilled to be here. I hope to be here for a long time. I'm a Western Mass guy. Learning this central part of the state has been interesting, a little bit of a challenge. I really don't understand what goes on when you drive through Worcester. I don't know that I ever will. But, I don't view this as a launching pad to go to a big city or something like that. The home I live in right now is the home I hope to stay in my entire life. I would like to be here for the long haul and be involved in the work and be involved in the success. Thank you all for having me.
Just quickly, I was actually just talking to Mike Chakosky, is that how I pronounce his name? Mike happened to serve on our redevelopment authority 15 years ago. Amazing. And at that time, they'd created an urban renewal plan. That urban renewal plan is a tool you can use for revitalization in the downtown. We're amending that plan, and we have a community meeting to discuss some of the amendments to the plan. On June 5th, we'll be serving pizza. And we'd love the business community to be involved in this. We use this tool to mark out the buildings that could potentially be taken through eminent domain by the town, or could be given to the redevelopment authority for them to then try to procure the buildings. They're exempt from regular municipal procurement, so it's a tool. My agenda, the fire station. My agenda is the fire station. As we all know, we're building the new fire station. We're moving. That fire station could be an amazing pub or a restaurant or something, right, to add to the downtown. And so if the redevelopment authority could be involved in that, then we could be choosy. Where if it just goes out for public sale through the town, we don't have the right to be choosy. So that's my agenda. But there's lots of other things going on in that plan. So any input anybody has or wants to give, you can stop in and see me outside of this time. Or if you want to show up, there'll be the consultants we've hired and their tables, and they'll be doing some, discussions about what they're looking at, and they'll be looking for input from everybody. And I hope to see people there. June 5th in the chambers at 7 o'clock.
I want to put it out there to all the members of the partnership that we're doing what we call business spotlights. So anyone that has a business, we're going to come to you and do a video, a short interview. It's going to be just you. You're going to tell us about your business, what you where you started, what you do, what you sell, what service you provide. And then we have Charles Diaz has been gracious enough to edit it and create this really nice 2 to 3 minute video that we will send out on our social media platforms and the local Cablevision platform and everywhere else we can. We want to kind of spotlight our members and kind of showcase what we're doing and who belongs. All right. So anyone, if you're interested in doing it, it won't take more than 30 minutes. We'll take some shots of the front of your building if you've got one, or your sign or anything, and we're happy to do that. Okay. So find me if you want to participate.
Hi, Maura Powell from the YMCA. 4th of July race is coming up. It's our 76th running. I've got some forms and some flyers, and if anyone wants to commit to a prize for the table, you'll get on our T-shirts. One of our members does our T-shirts as well. And this year we're honoring Kyle Broder, who passed away this year, longtime member and runner with his partner, Team Unstoppable. His dad used to run the race. He ran the race. So it's going to be a special event, 76 running, the oldest 4.9 race in the country. I can safely say that. And so be there 4th of July. If you'd like to get involved, if you'd like to be a sponsor, there's things out here today. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Cadiff. I'm the Vice President for Administration at Harrington. 2 items just to update you guys on, and hopefully some of you have already received invites to this. But on Monday, June 9th, Harrington is starting what we're calling the Friends of Harrington. And that event is going to be probably a quarterly meeting. We're going to be holding it at the Wellsworth Hotel, the Southbridge Conference Center. And we're looking for business leaders, community leaders, stakeholders in the organization that have an interest in what the hospital's doing. And we want to share with you all the great things that are going on, challenges that we're running into, different projects that we're working on, and trying to get your, hopefully, participation in some of our efforts. So we're going to be sending out, if you haven't got it or you're interested, please be on the lookout for it. We want to make it a very wide net of people to come and help us out and ultimately participate on committees and be part of the organization, whether it's philanthropy, operations, government relations, some of our patient family advisory efforts, just whatever we can kind of tap your brain on. So we'd love to have you there. If you happen to see it on an invite, please let us know. If you have any interest, you can talk to myself, Angela, Ed afterwards, and we can fill you in on more. But we really want to get that community effort back into it. We've been acquired now and part of the UMass system for 4 years. Felt we're starting to kind of lose a little bit of that connectivity we had prior to the acquisition. We want to get that back and expand upon it. So we're really excited about that one. And the other one, if you happen to see some of the invites coming out about this, we have a large fundraiser that we're going to be doing towards the end of July. That's going to be focused on our behavioral health program. And if you're not aware of it, Harrington's behavioral health program is really kind of a shining star for us locally. It's a shining star for us within the UMass system and in, frankly, Massachusetts and in the area as a whole. In that we want to be able to do more. We want to provide more services. We want to have more people in the community, better facilities, support our employees, and support of our patients. So we're going to be doing a fundraiser in the end of July at the Mansion of Bald Hill, right over the line in Woodstock, right? It's in Woodstock. So if you have any interest in that, it is a fundraiser. We'll look out for those tickets, and we'll send out more information of that as we get closer into the summertime. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and looking forward to seeing you at our next Southbridge Business Partnership meeting. Have a great evening.